In those years, a teacher whom I love deeply, since accidents keep happening these days, my contact with teachers has become more and more frequent, allowing me to enjoy many things that I never thought I could enjoy before. Today is another day when an accident should happen. Just when I was looking forward to continuing to enjoy this feeling during lunch break today, the teacher came to me after class. "John, are you busy during your lunch break today?" "It's okay, teacher. Then can you come to the office to see me during lunch break today? The teacher wants to talk to you about something." "Oh, okay." I'm a little annoyed that the teacher wants to see me. Since I have something to do at noon, I won't be able to enjoy it today. When I arrived at the office during the lunch break, I found that the teacher was the only one writing in her seat, assigned to write something. The teacher noticed me walking in and called me to her seat. "John, the teacher has something to talk to you about today." "Teacher, what do you want to talk to me about?" "John, the teacher wants to ask you something. You have to answer me honestly. The two of us have often had accidents in that corridor recently. I wonder if you caused the accident intentionally." I was really shocked when I heard what the teacher said. I didn't expect that the teacher would know that it was my plan. I always thought that this was a perfect plan that no one would find out. When I was asked this question, all of a sudden, I was speechless. "Teacher, seeing my reaction. The teacher also knew the answer. You know, the teacher wouldn't have suspected this originally, but it's so ordinary that this kind of accident happens. And every time we kiss each other, your hands are still touching me." Hearing what the teacher said, I knew that the whole thing was conclusive, and everyone had the stolen goods. I didn't know how the teacher would punish me next, so I lowered my head anxiously and continued to listen to the teacher's instructions. "Teacher knows that you are in puberty now, and you may be a little curious about the relationship between men and women, especially women. But you have been getting more and more outrageous recently. Why are you still pushing against me when you touch me randomly?" I kept my head down and was always afraid, not knowing how the teacher was going to punish me. But when I heard what happened later, I felt embarrassed myself. I didn't expect that the teacher would even notice this physiological reaction. But at this time, I was a little bit desperate. I thought I would be punished anyway, so why not tell everything at this time? "Teacher, I'm really sorry. I know what I did was wrong, but I really like you. I fell in love with you when we first met. Otherwise, I wouldn't do such a thing of." When the teacher heard what I said, he might have been a little scared, but he immediately reacted and continued to talk to me. "The teacher knows that you may like me. But as the teacher said just now, you only feel this way because of your puberty. You are just curious about women, and I am a teacher and I am married. Now that I've said it, I don't care what happens next. I just want the teacher to know how much I like her." So I continued to argue with the teacher. "Teacher, I really like you. I knew this was wrong, but since the first accident we had, all I can think about is you. Every time I think of you, I can't do anything anymore. I can't forget you at all." When the teacher heard my excited remarks, he was shocked by me and remained silent, and I gradually calmed down. I remembered that I had just expressed all my feelings towards the teacher. The more I thought about it, the more scared I became. I didn't know how the teacher would sentence me, but when the teacher said the next words, I stood there blankly. The teacher doesn't know that you like me so much, and you like me to this extent. Your most important task now is to study this well, in order not to affect your study in the future. Whenever you think about me and you can't help yourself, "Teacher, will you let me hug you? Please stop doing those things." When the teacher said this, I felt like I had risen from hell to heaven. To make sure it was not a dream, I asked the teacher if it was true. "Teacher, what you said, is it true?" When the teacher heard me asking this, he might have been shy and his face turned red. "Well, it's true, but the teacher just wants you to study hard and stop thinking about other random things. Can you promise the teacher not to think about it anymore?" Well, yes, I can certainly do it. I never thought that I could hug the teacher openly. This is beyond my imagination. The teacher was a little shy when he saw me so excited, but he still told me one more thing. The teacher has agreed to let you hug me, so you can't touch the teacher again. I was a little disappointed to hear the teacher say this, but now I only think about being able to hug the teacher in a legitimate way, and I can't care about much else. Okay, teacher, can I hug you now? I said a little impatiently. The teacher didn't seem to think that I was so anxious, but he already agreed to it. Well, okay, but this is an office, and it's not good to hug her here. Let's hug her in the corridor. After saying that, she walked out of the office first. Hearing what the teacher said, I happily followed him. I'm looking forward to the thought that I can hug the teacher directly instead of having to bump him. After all, bumping will still hurt. When we reached that corridor, the teacher stopped, turned around and looked at me and said, "Okay, you can hug me now." After saying that, she closed her eyes and waited for me to hug her. I walked forward. When I stretched out my hand was shaking. It was really useless when I held the teacher in my arms. Because I was tall, even though she was wearing high heels, I was still half a head taller than the teacher. So I leaned my head on the teacher's head and smelled the teacher's long black hair. When I leaned closer, I could smell the fragrance of the teacher. It was not the scent of lotion, but her natural body fragrance, which was very attractive and never tired of smelling it. And I put my hand on the teacher's back, and through the touch of my hand, I could feel that the teacher's body was really soft, making me not want to leave. We hugged each other for 5 minutes. Before I let go of the teacher, I felt my face was hot. I looked at the teacher and saw that her face was also red and turned into my favorite red apple. It was so cute. Okay, you finished hugging me. Don't think about it anymore. Well, okay. Thank you, teacher. Today, I really didn't expect to be able to hug the teacher directly. This is something I never dared to think about. However, I really can't believe that the teacher would agree to let me hug her directly. This is really beyond my expectation. At that time, I would express my thoughts directly. It was only because I thought I was dead at that time that I expressed all my thoughts. Fortunately, the result was good. Not only was I not punished by the teacher, but I got this kind of reward. Suddenly, remembering the scene when the teacher promised me the reward, I thought of something the teacher missed, which made me look forward to tomorrow. The next day. After class, I ran to the teacher and said a hug. The teacher looked a little helpless, and her face turned red, but she still nodded. At lunch break, I walked to the corridor with the teacher. The teacher looked a little shy, but she still closed her eyes and waited for me to hug her. Teacher, wait a minute. I have something to tell you first. I endured the desire to report, looked at the teacher and said, "What's wrong?" The teacher seemed a little surprised that I didn't come up to hug her directly. Instead, I wanted to talk to her first. She opened her eyes and looked at me in confusion. "Teacher, you said yesterday that I can hug you, but I can't touch you anymore, right?" The teacher nodded, curious about what I wanted to say. "Teacher, you only said that I can't touch you, so I should still be able to kiss you." Seeing that the teacher gave a positive answer, I said a little heavily. The teacher was stunned for a moment. Maybe he didn't expect me to say that, but what I said was correct. As a result, he stood there and didn't know how to react. To be honest, I said this just because I wanted to take a gamble and see if the teacher would let me take advantage of this missing part. The teacher stood there thinking for a long time. When I saw her nodding, I didn't know what to say. I rushed over and hugged her, then lowered my head to find her lips and kissed her. Kissing this long-lost baby again, the faint fragrance came from the teacher's lips. The teacher's body was soft. It felt really good. In a daze, my brother slowly woke up. As he held the teacher for longer and longer, he began to salute the teacher. When I held the teacher, he quietly pressed against the teacher's soft belly. When it came into contact with the teacher, at that moment, I felt an electric current pass from the teacher's body through my little brother to me. This pleasure was very strong, just like taking drugs. which makes people trapped and unable to extricate themselves. The teacher felt something strange about me and quickly jumped away from my arms. Okay, that's all I need to do is report in today. Oh, I should have known better not to be so excited. But I can't control it after that, except for weekends and holidays. I would meet my teacher in that corridor every day. After more than 10 efforts during this period, I also achieved a breakthrough development. At that time, I had made many appointments with the teacher, and we were very familiar with each other. As soon as we went to the corridor, she would get used to being in my arms, and I would get used to holding her, finding the target and kissing her directly. Since I started kissing the teacher, I have been trying my best to attack him with my tongue. Unfortunately, the teacher's cherry mouth is always closed tightly, so I can't succeed. Today, I am still used to sticking out my tongue and want to try it again. I didn't expect that the teacher did not close his mouth tightly today, so that I could go straight into the Huang Long and directly contact the teacher's tongue. The teacher's tongue was startled, and she wanted to escape my attack quickly. She also wanted to leave my arms, but how could I let go of this opportunity after finally getting it? I hugged her tightly and didn't let her get away. My tongue didn't give up and kept chasing her tongue. I would chase her wherever she went, going round and round in the teacher's mouth. I also took the opportunity to eat a lot of the teacher's saliva. I don't know if it was. My illusion felt as sweet as sugar water, allowing me to replenish energy and continue chasing while enjoying this chasing game. With my tongue's unrelenting efforts, I finally caught up. The teacher didn't know if she gave up and ran away, but her tongue also began to respond to mine. The two of them were like dry wood meeting fire, and they were in my mouth. He entangled and played in her mouth all at once, and the fight was endless. After kissing like this for more than 10 minutes, we finally separated. Both of us were a little out of breath, and our faces were very good. But I was really happy because it was my first time to have this experience. How could you do this? The teacher gasped and said, "Teacher, I didn't break the agreement." I said a little proudly, "Okay, don't do this again next time." The teacher looked at me with a red face and said, "But when we met next time," I didn't listen to the teacher's words and continued to attack directly. This time, the city gate could not hold on for 3 seconds before it was breached again. But after this breakthrough, it was not me who took the initiative to stick out my tongue. Instead, it was the teacher who took the initiative to stick out his tongue and entangle me. This time, the kiss was still so intense that the thunder in the sky stirred the fire on the ground, and neither of us wanted to separate. I opened my eyes and saw the teacher looking at me. I was a little shy, so I closed my eyes and continued to work hard. "Teacher, how could you take the initiative?" After we separated, I asked the teacher a little curiously, "What are you talking about? Did I violate our agreement?" The teacher said a little shyly, "Well, no." I smiled happily. I didn't expect the teacher to be so proactive. So I look forward to the future interactions even more. But my heart is still a little unsatisfied, and I want more.